Hey, welcome everybody. My name is Guinosso. You'll see my name up on that little screen over there. I am the co-founder and the executive director of Blue Harmony. We are the ones in collaboration with a lot of amazing people. Motion Studios, Mary was there to support us, Ocean Voyage Institute, Ziri, that created the Waves of Change quiz loop that's going through this screen. And I am here to talk to you today about how we can become the change that we want to see in the world. If you've been inspired by what you've seen about ocean health, or even if you've been overwhelmed by what you've seen as well, overwhelming or inspiration are both pathways to action, to making change. So I'm really happy to have you here with you today. If you've been paying attention to what's going on with what you saw in Dome B and what you've been seeing here in Dome C, you know that the oceans are facing unprecedented challenges, from plastic pollution to climate change, and yet each one of us has the power to make a difference. By starting with small actions in our communities, we can create ripples of change that lead to healthier oceans. And today we'll explore how you can play your part. This is one of our mottos. My motto in general is an ethos that I'm hoping we teach our daughter Quinn, who's up here in the front here with my wife Stephanie. If you see something that needs to be done and you think somebody should take care of it, just remember, you're somebody. Yeah. And so I want to play a little bit of a video now today that just kind of has a backdrop of talking about the challenges we have with ocean health. And so today we're going to talk about the health of our oceans. And so, Lena, if you wouldn't mind playing the video, please. Okay. The ocean is a vast, powerful force, and it covers over 70% of the Earth's surface, and it's the lifeblood of our planet. The ocean produces more than 50% of the oxygen we breathe and plays an irreplaceable role in sustaining life on Earth. It absorbs 30% of the carbon dioxide we release into the atmosphere. And it also plays a crucial role in stabilizing our climate. The ocean provides food and livelihoods for over 3 billion people, primarily through fishing, tourism, and coastal industries. Yet despite its importance, the ocean is facing unprecedented challenges. Plastic pollution, climate change, and overfishing are threatening its delicate balance, and with it, our own well-being. Every year, over 8 million tons of plastic enter our oceans, equivalent to about 2 dump trucks of plastic every minute. This massive influx of plastic pollution is creating a crisis, not just for marine life, but for humanity. In the last 50 years, we've become a global plastic polluting society, and plastic is now found everywhere, from the deepest oceans to the highest mountains. Plastic doesn't break down in a natural way. It breaks down into smaller pieces and turn into microplastics and nanoplastics, which persist in our environment for hundreds and even thousands of years. These tiny particles find their way into the food chain and end up in the seafood we consume, the water we drink, and even the air we breathe. Studies show that the average person ingests about 5 grams of plastic each year, which is about the weight of a credit card. And these plastics can enter our bodies and travel to organs like the liver, the lungs, as well as the brain. Plastics are harming marine life. Over 800 species of marine animals, including fish, seabirds, sea turtles, dolphins, and whales, are directly affected by plastic pollution. They mistake plastic for food, leading to starvation, injury, and plastic. And as you may have heard, there's something called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, where all the plastic accumulates in 5 different gyres. The plastic pollution in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is the largest. It has the size of 2 Texases or 3 Frances. As mentioned before, the ocean is truly the heart of our planet, but rising ocean temperatures are causing coral bleaching, where coral expels the algae living in their tissues, killing the coral and turning it white. And 25% of all marine species rely on the coral reefs. Coral reefs cover only 0.1% of the ocean floor, but support 25% of marine life. Rising sea levels threaten coastal communities worldwide, displacing millions of people and threatening their livelihoods. And climate change is transforming our oceans into its effects are felt in the storms that we experience. Rising ocean temperatures are intensifying storm patterns, making them more unpredictable and powerful. It's disrupting marine ecosystems, particularly in Northern California where I live, where the delicate kelp forests and kelp canopies are disappearing. These forests are vital to ocean health, providing food, shelter, and carbon sequestration. However, warmer waters have weakened these ecosystems, allowing overabundant sea urchin populations to proliferate unchecked. These urchins are grazing down the kelp forest, leaving barren underwater landscapes, and 92% of the kelp has disappeared in Northern California. And this is a global phenomenon as well. This creates a vicious cycle where climate change fuels further destruction, threatening the entire ecosystem and the communities that depend upon it. So that's a lot to cover today. We're going to get into a little more depth around how you can become the change to support our oceans. But it's just a reminder, it starts with you. The ocean needs us to act now, whether it's reducing plastic waste, supporting sustainable fishing, or advocating for stronger climate policies. Every action counts. Today, you can start making a difference in your community by becoming an ocean advocate. You can inspire others to join you, to protect marine ecosystems, and create a ripple effect that leads to global change. Oh, who's that? I recognize those people there. Okay. So we have a role to play, each and every one of us in the health of the oceans, whether it be big or small. Every step counts, and together we can make a change. Okay, shifting back to I got it here. Thanks, Lena. Okay, so make no mistake that if we continue on this path that is leading to the death of the ocean, mankind will soon follow. And now that we understand this urgency, it's time for us to ask ourselves, what can we do to help? It starts with awareness and action. Now you know that there's an issue. As individuals and communities, we have the power to become ocean advocates. And so, starting with you, what might you do? And I love this quote. I share this in my yoga class. I teach yoga as well. I share this in my yoga class a lot. And I'll put it up in Japanese. I pretty much know it by heart. When I was a young man, I wanted to change the world. I found it was difficult to change the world, so I tried to change my nation. When I found I couldn't change the nation, I began to focus on my town. When I couldn't change the town, I realized that as an older man, I tried to change my family. Now, as an old man, I realize the only thing I can change is myself. And suddenly I realized that if long ago I had changed myself, I could have impacted our town. Their impact could have changed the nation. And I could have indeed changed the town. So I created this Venn diagram to recognize that we have this opportunity to what's going on in our world, what needs fixing in our world. And you see, in your world, it might be, I'm noticing that a lot of my family members are driving rather than commuting. I think in Japan that might not be the case. I think most people use public transportation, but there's something that might be happening in the world that we need to support. And then who can help? Who are my peers of influence that can support this process? And then I think it's also important to think about what brings you joy. So this workshop is about uncovering all these aspects and kind of reflecting on how we can actually make some change within ourselves. So just for a moment, think about in your life where you might make some change, whether it be reducing your use of single-use plastics, whether it be commuting instead of driving, using public transportation. And just think about that just for a moment. Just take a moment to reflect on it. I'll give you a moment to think about that. Should I play some music? Do 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 do. Bum ba dum bum 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 bum. Okay. Okay. So what change, big or small, can you make in your life today that can contribute to protecting your oceans? And if you were kind of stuck, you weren't sure what you should focus on, I've created a list for you. Okay? So this is in English. I'll review in English and I'll bring it up in Japanese. You can reduce plastic use. You can support sustainable seafood choices. You can think about proper waste disposal and recycling. You can support organizations and policy change. You can participate in local ocean and beach cleanup efforts. You can use eco-friendly sustainable products. You can support organizations like Mary Crowley and Ocean VOYAGES, who is here, and Mary's going to be talking in a moment about the work that she's doing with Ocean VOYAGES for them going out and collecting plastic in the Great Pacific. Okay? And I'll bring that up in Japanese for you to take a look as well. Okay. So then we reflected on kind of how we can make a change in our own individual life. And then you start thinking about what actions can I take to inspire my family, my friends, or my coworkers. There's people out there, for example, that don't know that there's 5 gyres in the ocean that are collecting waste, right? You might let them know about that. There might be people out there in at work or in your family that don't know that when they buy a plastic bottle, it doesn't really get recycled. We got to educate them. My family and I were visiting my mom and dad. They were buying plastic, and I had to have a moment with them going, hey, I think we should stop buying plastic. It's about time to stop buying water bottles. And so the next question we would ask along this path is, how can I engage my local community in ocean conservation efforts? And then ultimately, how can these actions create a ripple effect that reaches beyond my town, my nation, and the world? So I'm going to take a moment after I'm done reviewing this to kind of show you some examples of this. But think about in your own life, who's in your sphere of influence? What can you do to impact them? And how can you get them engaged in your community and have ripple effects that impact the world? So some of the examples I wrote down here are leading by example, right? People are going to be inspired by what you do and how you act and show up in the world. You can host awareness campaigns, let people know, create conversations at work. You can introduce kids to marine life and social media advocacy. So talking about people on Instagram or Facebook about the work that you're doing. You can also go beyond that and host community cleanups. My wife and I clean up the block in Berkeley, California on a regular basis, and we're trying to get our community involved and educate people in our community about that. Start educational initiatives, support local legislation, you partner with local businesses, and promote eco-friendly products as well. And then how can you create a ripple effect that reaches beyond your town? In America, we could reach out to our Congress people, our senators, so I'm not sure how much they listen anymore, but that would be the first step. We can also advocate for national and global ocean protection policies, educate through technology and social media, support international ocean initiatives, and collaborate with global partners, and foster cross-cultural communications as well, which is kind of what Dr. Behar and Dr. Thurston have been doing with NOAA as well in Jamstec. Okay, so what I'd like you to do when you leave here is make a commitment to yourself about what you want to do when you get home, whether it be using laundry products that aren't plastic, that are plastic-free, whether it be bringing your shopping bag to the grocery store, all those type of things. All these things make a small little difference in your world, but can grow to be a big difference. Okay, so by starting small with our own communities, we can inspire others and create larger movements and eventually see the global change needed to protect our oceans and ensure that future for generations to come. And I'll give you an example of someone that I work with in California, in Northern California. This is my friend Josh Russo, who was a diver. He began as a diver, a spear fisherman, and he did recreational diving, and he had like a deep connection to the ocean. And he founded something called the Watermen's Alliance, which was a coalition of spearfishing clubs that were primarily made to advocate for spearfishing in California. They would show up at the meetings to let people know that they were passionate about spearfishing. They wanted to make sure that spearfishing was open for them to be able to recreate in the ocean and do what they wanted to do. But in 2017, he actually shifted. In 2017, he had an awakening to shift to focus on kelp restoration. And that was because if in California, I know this is true in Japan as well, I mentioned before that a lot of the kelp is disappearing, and it was impacting abalone diving. And as a consequence, abalone diving in California was no longer you were no longer able to dive for abalone. So he began organizing to be able to bring kelp back. And so he organized the first recreational dive event to focus on removing the overly abundant purple sea urchins to aid to help kelp forest recovery. And then he organized multiple dives. And then he went to the state and asked that he could create a change in the policy of being able to dive for sea urchins. So now I'm involved with a project called Casper Cove, where we can dive in Casper Cove and collect these sea urchins and crush them and cull them as needed. Some of the sea urchins are too small. Some of you are like, wait, that's really good food. I feel you. It's a delicacy in America too as well. We love uni. But some of them are too small. And so we started creating change to move these all out. And the kelp is now coming back in Northern California. It's not quite grown back completely, but it's now coming back. And Josh is a really big example of someone who was passionate about what he did and just started working in his own community to help impact change. Okay? And that could be you. And I created this quote to talk about yoga, but I think it's so appropriate for right now. One of the sweetest things on earth is honey, and it's made of collective force of thousands of individual beings, right? Bees. Just imagine if we work together how sweet we can make this world. Okay, that's my talk today. Yay, thank you. I'm not sure, I'm sure you're inspired to ask so many questions right now. Yeah? No? Okay, perfect. That sounds even better. Okay. Look, you're so sweet. Yes, Mary? Oh, wait. Here, why don't you take this, Mary?
Well, I think your talk is really important and beautiful. And maybe you could share, you did, but if there's any more particulars that had you start really realizing that you could make a difference just by being yourself and being in your neighborhood so people can apply it to themselves.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm going to go back to that Venn diagram, and I'll share just a simple story of what needs fixing. I mentioned my wife and I live in the Bay Area in Berkeley, and our block is pretty stressed. There's a lot of apartment buildings in our block, and there's some of our low income. And I moved in there in 2000. There was always plastic pollution on my block. And learning more about the way that the sewage works, that the block collects, when it rains, collects the plastic and all the litter and puts it into the sewage. And that sewage goes into the San Francisco Bay, and then eventually ends up in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So I started just picking up pieces of trash And I would pull Stephanie in, we walk with our dog and start collecting trash. And then I started thinking, wow, I have a community of friends that could potentially help me with this. So we started creating regular cleanups on my block. And now I'm at the point where I'm starting to work with the apartment housing authority, and I'm starting to educate the apartment housing authority about the fact that this plastic rolls into the ocean and that we should really make an impact and try to help this. And then I'm going above and beyond that, where I'm trying to create something called Adopt a Block in Berkeley, where someone's going to be responsible for creating community cleanups within our block. And that's how I see it happening. Thank you for asking that question, Mary. Yeah. And then, Nikki, did you have a question?
I'm wondering what inspires you when you're feeling overwhelmed, like you said, the two pathways, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get through the overwhelm, and what are ways that people can activate?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. I think with the way that we see what's going on with the ocean, it can be really easy to be overwhelmed. I just want to make sure we're clear about that. It's really a serious situation. And I think what happens is when you get past that, you look and two things happens. One is Mr. Rogers. Anybody familiar with Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, right? He was actually, when he shares a story when he was a little kid, when he heard emergency vehicles go by, or police or a fire truck go by, he would be really scared. He'd be worried. His mother would sit down with him and said to him, well, look for the helpers. There's always helpers around if there's some emergency going on. So I think the first thing to do is look around you. There's tons of people trying to do this work and try to do good in the world. There's a bunch of those people right now in this community doing that. I mean, we have Ziri, Mr. SARAYA, we have Sid Thurston, we have Dr. Behar, we have Paul, who's working, every one of you are trying to do something in this world. So that can be inspiring. And you might think to yourself, well, how can I help them? And I think the next thing you do is, how can I help in any way? Whether it be recycling, the littlest things can make ripples of change that turn into a wave of change. Thank you, Nikki. Cool. Oh, yes, Mr. SARAYA.
Thank you. Thank you for your nice presentation, as well as kind of citizens to participate in the project. I have a question. Because you are starting to make the kelp forest again, in some part of the world, they would count it as a carbon trade, like a blue carbon.
Yeah.
Is in the United States, is it be counted as a blue carbon, or some companies get interest, or not yet?
I don't think we've gone to that point. Nikki, did you or Mary have some information about that? Anything you do?
If it's active in the United States at all, it'd be in a California market, and I'm not positive about that. I mean, positive whether California is, okay.
Maybe Sid knows anything about it now. No, not that we know anything about. Thank you. That's a great question, though. And that might be the next step for me to take, Hilda and I to take. Okay. All right, well, thank you so much for listening, and stay around. Mary Crowley will be speaking in a moment. Okay, thank you. Okay, let me know when you're ready, Lena.
Thank you.
Mary, can I introduce you? You ready? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pete Guinosso. I'm with Blue Harmony, and I'm excited to be here with you today at the Blue Ocean Dome to introduce to you Mary Crowley. And Mary is the founder and the executive director of Ocean Voyage Institute. And she is a trailblazer in the fight to protect and restore our oceans from the devastating impact of plastic pollution. Mary's passion for the ocean has driven her to take bold, hands-on action in the vast waters of the North Pacific Gyre, where she and her team have voyaged to witness firsthand the staggering accumulation of plastic pollution that threatens marine life and ecosystems. Ocean Voyages Institute is at the forefront of ocean cleanup efforts, working tirelessly to remove plastic from the most polluted regions of our oceans. And her talk will shed light on the importance of global collaboration in cleaning up the ocean and the hopeful future we can create by working together to protect the very waters that sustain on our Earth. Please join me in welcoming Mary Crowley, whose dedication and vision are inspiring a global movement to restore and protect our oceans for generations to come. Welcome, Mary.
Well, it is indeed my honor to be here in Osaka and at the Blue Dome. I'm so impressed by the beauty of the Blue Dome and all the good things going on within it, the quiz loop and the wonderful speakers, and a sense that we all care about our ocean. And I, at first, started using ocean cleanup is what I was doing, but really being guided by a lot of journalists telling me that they found the way we were cleaning the ocean was really the way to do it, because we were caring about restoring the ocean, not having any bycatch of fish or not removing plankton. We were really caring about making sure the work we were doing, removing the toxic plastics, was being done in a way that was healthy for the ocean. So now I always combine restoration with cleanup. And it's wonderful to be here and be able to share. There was a young photographer that came with us that did a lot of these shots showing the ocean and then showing the ship behind. And it's really interesting, so you can see the accumulation that's out there in the middle, and we've been aiming to clean up ghost nets, derelict fishing gear. Okay, so we are aiming for the ghost nets, and they catch a lot of consumer plastics, and so we're getting a good variety of both. I was lucky enough to begin sailing with my family when I was about 4 years old, and this is a shot when I'm probably 12 years old, but sailing, both my dad and my mother enjoyed sailing, and my brother's a good sailor, and I really feel that the time I've spent on the ocean has formed a lot of the person I am, that hours and days and weeks and months on the ocean have taught me a lot, the importance of preserving it. I think I skipped something, but that's... massive amounts of plastic are entering our ocean each day, and that's something we can all contribute to changing and being aware of. Globally, when I started this work in 2009, we were making in the world around 300 million tons yearly of plastic. And unfortunately, the dial has been going up about our plastics. And there are so many materials like bamboo and other things that can be used. We shouldn't really be having any throwaway plastics that go in and harm nature. Recent studies show that about 9% of global plastic waste is recycled. And, you know, we should be up to 80% of it or 90% of it. So we have a long way to go, because the plastic waste can create energy, it can create fuel, it can be used to build roads as bases that last longer and absorb more heat. And there's young and people of all ages that are innovators around the world coming up with good things to do with plastic, and we should be embracing them. And the ocean is now really considered the world's largest plastic dump, and that is a terrible thing for our beautiful ocean. Microplastics entering our food chain cause immune problems, neurological problems, reproductive disorders, and illness for human beings, and they cause a lot of illness and death for birds and sea creatures. Their stomachs get full and they can't digest the plastics and they starve to death. Marine plastic kills millions of seabirds, marine mammals, fish, sea turtles, and other marine life every year. Our ocean will have more plastic than fish in weight by 2050 unless we change our ways. And that's a statistic that first came out at the United Nations. And I'm very committed to making sure that doesn't happen. And I invite all of you to join me, because we certainly want to keep our ocean as a habitat for ocean life, not plastic. We are lucky. We've been using a sailing cargo ship, quite an old vessel, but it was originally designed with a cargo hold of about 200 tons. And it is ideal to use wind power rather than engines. And wind power is very effective getting us out to the gyre, and we can set a small amount of sail and be able, going slow helps us see more debris and therefore more effectively remove it. And so everybody around the world has acknowledged that what we're doing is working. We've set records in certain areas, and we want to create a fleet of vessels, which I'll talk about later. So we're addressing this all on the right level. So throughout, you'll hear me inviting you to join us and be an ocean hero, because it's a big problem, but it is so much fun to be part of the solution. I'm going to show you a film clip now that will give you a little bit of sense of what it's like pulling up things in the gyre and show you what it's like when we come in. So. We've just returned from 48 days at sea, where they've brought in a record-setting cargo of ghost nets, derelict fishing gear, and consumer plastics. So they've been removing lots of toxic elements from the ocean.
I'm an avid surfer, waterman, diver on Maui, and I really wasn't aware of the scope of this giant problem. It was really frightening, actually, how much plastic was out there. When you'd look off the boat, it would just be clouds of tiny pieces smaller than your fingernail. And then consumer plastics, marine debris, ghost nets from fishing gear. And then when we would dive on the nets, we'd find turtles, fish, giant tuna. They're all dead, stuck in the nets. It was really disheartening. But the work that Mary Crowley and Ocean Voyages Institute is doing to go out there and actually collect these nets, helping to solve the problem. It's a monumental problem. You realize that when you're out there because there's plastic everywhere.
It's not easy to find and pick up all this garbage. We use some new technologies like GPS, satellite trackers.
The ship left from Hilo, Hawaii on May 4th, and here is now returning to Honolulu with over 100 tons of plastic collected from the big garbage patch of the Pacific Ocean. There's so much plastic there to be collected and so much work to do that this is just the start. What you see on the ship there, that's just what's on deck. That's a cargo hold is completely full of nets.
It's an honor to have all of these toxic materials out of the ocean. They'll be recycled and repurposed. Nothing will end up in landfill. Nothing will ever go back in the ocean. The ocean is a source of health for us as a planet and for us as human beings, and that we have to take care of it, and we have to have a healthy habitat for ocean creatures. And to do this, we have to change some habits, we have to have much better waste management, and we have to right now be doing lots of ocean cleanup. So this shows you the way we typically pick up plastics, and then we lay them on deck to dry. And we've really seen how the ocean sorts plastics. So we'll be out there in the gyre and we'll see 5,000 big white laundry detergent bottles, or we'll see beer crates and soft drink crates. And people always say, who put all of those in? And it's not that one person dumped them all in, it's that the ocean currents put things of similar sizes together. And so from that, I and others came up with the idea that we could use GPS satellite trackers to tag the ghost nets, the derelict fishing gear, and then we would be able to go right to collect it, but also they act as beacons to allow us to find areas of heavier plastic distribution and other ghost nets. So this has been a very successful method for us. And after the debris dries, we then put it in big bags and store it in our cargo hold to get as much as possible. This shows our GPS satellite trackers, and it's really quite interesting because we attach them to the ghost nets with a carabiner and a tether, and it's amazing that so often they'll end up in the middle of a whole series of nets. But they're amazing tools to really help us find the garbage quickly. We have a very good collaboration with Dr. Nikolai Maximenko, who is an ocean modeler, as the wonderful doctors that were here this morning talking to us. And these models sort of show the darker shades of the reds, and oranges show where there's more debris distribution. And the interesting thing is the modeling done by the scientist and the movement of the GPS satellite trackers on our nets correspond. And so, you know, they're proving what our trackers prove, and our trackers are proving what their mathematical modeling has done. So it's been a very good way to become more and more effective. These show the way our trackers move around the ocean. And so we, of course, share all our data with the modelers, which helps them learn more about the debris distribution. And they're a great way for us to get to the heavier accumulations. This shows you our trackers on a variety of different equipment. It was interesting, the Greenpeace vessel was doing a trip from California to Hawaii, and they offered to deploy some trackers and check on some trackers. And they ended up being on the edges of some very rough weather, but they had good enough rescue divers that they went into 20-foot seas to manage to tag and check on things. And so that was our most adventurous tagging. Usually people do it in calm weather. Nikolai Maximenko, that I was mentioning, put together a wonderful project with NASA. And so Nikolai and his colleague Jan and the Smithsonian Environmental Research Center and Scripps, the University of Washington Physics Department, myself, Fisheries and Oceans Canada, and Williams College all collaborated over 5 years with this, our cleanup voyages being a center of that collaboration. We deployed different ocean equipment, and it was very interesting to have the biologists and the physical oceanographers and all the different specialties. And I really thought, I'm just a sailor. What do I have to contribute to all these PhD oceanography people? And they all called me their eyes on the water, because I had spent more time on the water. And actually, we all learn so much from each other. And I'm sure we'll always stay in touch because of the bonds we've built working together over that 5 years period. And these are some of our other partnerships besides the scientific and NOAA satellites. Matson Lines, the shipping company, has contributed transportation to us and money. And Resolve Marine is a large marine salvage company. And so more and more ocean industry people are helping us with contributions. This is from a Matson Line employee newsletter. And so they've been trying to recruit all of their employees to be supporters for us, which they've been quite successful for. And I feel quite honored because Matt Cox, the chairman of Matson, put his team of people checking out all the people around that were doing ocean cleanup. And they found that we were the people doing it in the most correct ways and most authentically. And so it's a wonderful accolade in the shipping industry that Matson chose us as the company nonprofit to work with. These should be some more. This one?
This is Hawaii News Now Sunrise at 6.
Right now, a ship returns from a massive garbage cleanup mission today. Our Casey Lunn reports from Honolulu Harbor. Good morning, Casey.
Hey, good morning, Steve. A beautiful morning here at Honolulu Harbor. I want to introduce Mary Crowley, founder of the Ocean Voyages Institute, and the Kauai behind us. Mary, tell me just a little bit about the mission of this vessel. You guys just returned to harbor here, 48 days at sea. What have you been doing?
Well, we've been cleaning up ghost nets and various consumer plastics out of what's known as the North Pacific garbage patch, though I always prefer to call it the gyre, etc., because I feel like the garbage patch makes it sound small, and in fact it's a huge issue.
Yeah, it really, the scope of this problem, and we're seeing the derelict fishing nets and other plastics that you guys are able to remove. You were telling me before we got on, hold on. Jared, hold on, buddy. I think they want to get, I'm going to have our cameraman back up here. There's work going on. We better get out of the way, Mary. But you said that in the hole there is almost completely full. You guys really have to come drop this off. Tell us what happens to those nets now that we're back here in Honolulu.
Yes, well, thanks to Matson Line and their assistance, they're shipping nets to Oakland and to Los Angeles. And in Oakland, we're processing the nets into fuel because, of course, plastics are a lot.
Yeah, and you know, I can't remember the figure, but when I was telling you we were out at Ford Island and they show us all those plastics and how much just the derelict fishing nets alone could power. So, Mary, you guys are going to set back out to sea, but in order to really continue this mission, what do you need?
We need more money. You know, we, in this time of COVID, we've been very careful on our first voyage and will continue. You know, we had the crew quarantine for 3 weeks. We had new people joining quarantine. We tested. But, you know, health of the ocean is helpful to our own health.
How can people connect with you? Because we are running out of time. We'll talk again with Mary at 7:30, but how can folks connect?
Ocean Voyages Institute.org, O-R-G, and people can donate there. You can find our phone number. You can volunteer. You can follow along. So Ocean Voyages Institute.org.
Very good. Mary Crowley, thank you so much for the work you're doing and for spending a little time with us this morning. We'll have a little bit more coming up at 7:30. For now, you're watching Sunrise. We'll take a short break and be right back.
And there's another interview coming up at a TV station in San Francisco. They're called ghost nets because they keep fishing. They roll over in the ocean, they collect other nets, they collect fish, they collect consumer plastics, buckets and containers and all different types of things that end up in our ocean. So they're very deadly to whales and porpoises, sea turtles, fish. They kill reefs and smother them when they wash against them. They're bad for ships. So removing these ghost nets is important.
So you launch out on this 25-day expedition on this cargo ship. You go, which is this the same thing as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch? That's just what it's more commonly known as?
It's very commonly known as that, but I really object to the word patch.
Well, set us straight.
Because it's much bigger than a patch.
Either way, it's a lot of plastic and a lot of garbage that's floating around. And so you picked up a bunch of regular plastics, but I'm interested to ask about these ghost nets. How, I mean, is this something that is really common and there are just hundreds of them floating around?
I'm afraid they are very common and they're all over the world. It's not just a problem here, though our first concentration is here, but we intend to very much expand our efforts.
So you're going back, that's already decided?
Oh yes, all of it is recycled, none of it will go to landfill, none of it will go back in the ocean. And so we're very committed.
Was there some part that was the most impactful to you?
We worked with a wonderful fellow by the name of Andy Sabrante designing satellite trackers. And so we've been doing this project where we would give vessels going through this area, be it captains delivering yachts, people coming back from a race, people on a family vacation, Greenpeace, Sea Shepherd, anybody going through this that wanted to work with us. And then if they saw one of these ghost nets, they could attach it.
Oh, so then you could find it.
And then that meant we could track where it goes, we can find it. And so when we found nets before, we typically found other nets in the same area.
Oh, interesting.
So we use two technologies. We use the satellite trackers, which directed us to the specific tag nets. And then once in that area, the crew was up in what's called a crow's nest, high in the mast, looking for other nets. And we had two wonderful drone pilots on board. And so they were flying grids looking for nets. One of the real excitements is close to, I think, the second tracker they picked up. Within 5 miles, they found a 5-ton monster ghost net.
Oh my gosh.
And then not too far from another tracker towards the end of the trip, they found an almost 8-ton accumulation of debris.
So speaking of tracking, if people want to track your progress, they want to track the success of the voyage, and they want to support you, what do they need to know? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, they can go to our website, which is OceanVoyagesInstitute.org. We welcome people wanting to donate because it is a big effort doing this cleanup.
You've heard it here. Now you can check out her website. You can go to Ocean Voyages. What was it again?
OceanVoyagesInstitute.org. So luckily, the press all around the world has paid attention to us when we come in. We did another trip where we ended up in Sausalito, California, and some of the news stations came in the morning, and they came back with other crews at the end of the day. We were lucky, I guess, because it wasn't a day with a lot of news competition, but they chose to cover our work, and it's a great way to educate people about the issues and the problems. So we really now have a proven model. We've set records. We have shown that we can do this without creating bycatch and without harming ocean life. And so it's the right moment to really scale up. And we want to invite partners around the world. We are just in the final design phases of 2 ships we wish to build. And so we want to end up with a fleet, not all operated by us, but operated by carefully chosen partners, so we can all be sharing information and we'll share our expertise and help everyone, but it'll be a good collaboration. And, you know, we have had a innovative and simple approach and set world records, and now we really want to turn the tide by expanding our work and scaling up. And, you know, we have 8 decades of plastic accumulating in our global ocean, so it is certainly time to stop putting it in and to start cleaning up what's there and restoring the environment. This sketch on the left is a design by Ron Holland, and that we have actually designers who believe in what we're doing, sending us their ideas from around the world, and we're kind of combining these ideas. I have a few that have come in this week that we haven't had time to add to this, but that's what I wanted, because since we're building a fleet, I wanted to get the best experts contributing. So we're building ships that will really do a great job of picking up the plastics. And these are more examples of different ship designs. The top right is the ship we've been using, which is now been sold to the Marshall Islands, and we're going to help them out there with some cleanup. But she was really a great ship for the work, but it was time for her to have a major overhaul, and I wanted to expand, and so building 2 ships seemed like the correct thing to do, and to go adding to the fleet from there. And I think I mentioned earlier, it's very much our pledge that none of the plastic pollution we remove will go into landfill or re-enter our ocean. I mean, that's a real problem. Lots of plastic does go into landfill, and it's such a light substance. It sometimes blows off the trucks headed there, or blows out of the landfill. And so, you know, plastic really needs to be recycled, upcycled, repurposed. Landfills are not appropriate places for it. And this is a list of some of the partners we've worked with. Bifusion makes things like garden sheds and furniture and insulation board, and they've recycled a lot of the plastics we've brought in. Resynergy turns plastic into fuel. There's a company in Czechoslovakia that uses ocean plastic to make medical supplies. H-Power in Hawaii uses it to provide power to homes. And these are just a few. There are more and more people around the world coming up with good ways to use ocean plastic, and a lot of innovation coming in those areas. This shows you some of the products made from them. And these show an important part of our equipment. These are special stabilized binoculars, and people can go up in the rig and do a really good job. It's fascinating that a lot of the island people from Christmas Island and Kiribati and Fiji, they're so much better at sighting plastics than a new person going on in the ocean, because they've spent their whole lives looking out and finding things, and they're great. And this, I mention here, the king of Tonga has decided that he really wants to clean up his islands, and it's going to be a wonderful project and a great story, because I visited Tonga this last February, and everybody there, from the teachers to the students to the government officials to the royal family, everybody wants to clean up their island. And so I'm looking forward to helping with that. And we also have had the Marshall Islands and Fiji and Galapagos. I think we can go and help one island chain. And my idea isn't for Ocean Voyages Institute to be permanently in these islands. It's to go and teach the people, make a difference in getting a volume of plastic, and then have them continue keeping their islands clean. And the Pacific Island people are such beautiful people. They all say to me, well, Mary, after you help us, then we can go and help our neighbors. And clearly that's the way it should be done. And this sort of shows some of the hard-working crew, our ocean heroes, and they work so hard, but they really know what they're doing is important, so they love doing it. So we're sailing into our future, new ships, new methods, new territories, and we hope some or many of you will join us in whatever ways are appropriate. We can all share in the fun and importance of being ocean heroes. And you've heard our website too much, so I won't repeat that. But I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Mary, I have a question. I'll start off just real quick. I'm curious if, when we hear about these ghost nets that are floating around the ocean, has there been ever any international focus on potentially tracking all of them or not even doing it? I imagine there must be some conversation about that going on right now, right?
Yes. I mean, a lot of times people say, well, can't we make the manufacturers of the ghost nets mark them all so we know who bought them, who threw them away? But I'm afraid the fishing industry is a bit of a complicated industry, and I think that some of the big illegal fishing people have enough money and influence that it seems like nobody's been able, and I mean, maybe somebody could figure out how. It would be a great thing to have people mark their nets, but everybody thinks of it as a great thing, and nobody's been able to make it happen yet.
Two-part question. The practicality of tagging, like you said, you have different boats. How many boats are we talking about? Like, do you always have one boat going around tagging things, or you have partners that while they're doing something, they will also tag? And the second part of it is, when to pick it up, do you just have your season that you go around and pick it up, or are you like waiting a little bit more longer so that it can track longer time and you can go where it goes, or how does it work?
Okay, well, good question. So in terms of, we usually have variety of vessels out there tracking. Fortunately, I'm pretty connected in the maritime community. And so both in Hawaii and California, if somebody's doing a trip, then we ask, because we only want people to do it that really want to do it and are serious about it. And so I'll talk to them and say, would you like to do this for us? And some say, oh no, we don't have time. And others say, oh, that'd be great. And so, you know, sometimes after they have races going to Hawaii, and then the boats are sailing back, and quite a few people and other people are really honored to be part of helping science, and so they do that. And remind me what your other...
The second part was, after it's tagged, do you wait for it to go around and be able to collect data for tracking, or do you have a season that you go and if it is there, you're going to pick it? Like,
Well, a little of both. I mean, we concentrate on choosing the weather that is the best for effectively picking up debris, which is calm weather, sunshine, so it's the summer months. And so we tend to run trips in the summer months. You're right, it's ideal if the tracker is out there for, you know, 3 months to a year, because then it gets more positioned to be pointing the way to other debris and fulfill both of the things it does. But, you know, it hasn't been out there that long, we'll certainly get the net that got tagged, and there'll probably be some other nets and plastics in the same area. So we'll go for removing everything we see.
And when you talk about scaling up, what does that look like? Like your vision of global ocean restoration, how many vessels, like what are you looking at?
Well, you know, we're starting by building 2. There's economies to building 2. My friend Ron Holland keeps saying, because he's quite a famous yacht designer, and he's done different models of boats where they've built 30 or 50 of the ships. So he keeps saying, Mary, tell everybody you're building a fleet. They'll give you better cost, and we are going to build a fleet. And, you know, I think that is true. If other people in different parts of the world want to build at the same yard and use all the things we've learned in doing that, that will work out well, probably financially for them. If they want to build at a yard in their own country, we can just provide the design. But, you know, we really, I think what I'm aiming for is somewhere between 15 and 20 vessels. And it's wonderful to think of, you know, people in the Indian Ocean, which currently the Great Pacific Gyre is the area with the most debris, but the Indian Ocean is catching up. And, you know, I've had people from the Indian Royal Navy, retired people, come and tell me they want to get a ship going out there. And I think really all the ocean people around the world that are aware of this and are ship operator type people would like to be engaged in having ships. And there's something about people caring for their own waters, and they have great knowledge of that. And, you know, my goal is not that we clean up all of the ocean, it's that we facilitate others joining us and we all do it together. I don't feel possessive of the garbage or the technologies. I just want to restore the ocean.
Okay. Oh, another question there. Thank you, Lena.
Thank you for the speech. I was just a little bit curious about, have you ever thought about preventing or stopping the cause of the ghost nets and the trash in the ocean? Because I thought that if you can't stop the cause, you need to collect the ghost nets for like ever. So that's my question. I'm really sorry if you've like talked about this because I joined in late.
No problem. Thank you for the question. And yes, I mean, there's so much to cover, and I didn't want to take too long of all your time, but educating people, as you see from some of the film clips, we try to have media crews on board, and we want more and more to educate people about the fact that we have to stop the flow into our ocean. But there's lots of issues. You know, you get to South America, parts of Africa, parts of Asia, and there's no good garbage systems. And so people regularly get rid of their garbage by throwing it into rivers or throwing it right into the ocean. And so one needs to think of better materials to use for throwaway plastic. One needs to think of how to have recycling and repurposing be available. And very much, you know, we want to stop the flow, but we also want to clean up now. We can't afford to let the ocean continue to decline because the ocean's really in trouble. So everything needs to be done. And like I know in the States, there's some of my colleagues that work hard trying to get legislation passed and have passed some good legislation in recent times. And so, you know, stopping the flow is very important, but right now we need to do everything at double time because the ocean's in trouble and we need to restore it yesterday. So thank you for the good question. Anyone else?
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So I was wondering if you have any initiatives after you've attached the trackers to the nets to prevent marine life from being caught in them still, because obviously you let them drift around a bit more to sort of gather more nets and get the data. So is there anything that stops more life being damaged while they're out there?
I didn't hear everything, but I think I got your question, so if I don't answer some of it, ask me more. But, you know, basically, we try to be very careful about not getting bycatch, and about the only thing we really regularly find on the nets are lots of little crabs. And we tend to try to shake the nets and leave the crabs in the ocean. And, you know, I think once we found a turtle entangled that was still pretty alive, and so we managed to let him free. But most of what I was worried when we first started going out there that we would find lots of live creatures, and most of what we find are skeletons, like the turtle skeleton that was there. So, you know, we try to be very careful. There are some other people cleaning oceans and using nets, and they do get some bycatch. And, you know, we don't use nets. We go for cleaning up the nets, and the nets do catch a lot of consumer plastics. And sometimes, you know, when we're in an area, like I mentioned with all the laundry detergent bottles or crates, we'll take one of our small boats out and just pile it up with that debris. So, I mean, we try to remove all the plastics we encounter, but in ways, even if it's just people with gloves pulling things out from the ocean, because we don't want to be using nets and and scooping up any life. So we try to be pretty careful.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I just going to move this along because Mary is going to be talking with Mr. SARAYA now. And if you have any more questions you want to ask, one more question? Okay, cool.
Last
one more question.
Hello, Mary.
Hi.
Do you notice a decrease or increase in the dumped waste every year through your experience? Is it like decreasing or increasing?
You know, that's really hard to say because all the statistics about how much debris is out there and all of this, you see so many different ones. And the fact is, you know, science and statistics are very important, but in this instance, we just know that there's plenty to clean up and we need to keep addressing that. I know that people in Hawaii have mentioned since we've been doing the cleaning that they feel like they've been having less entanglement of whales and porpoises and things, but that's just kind of their observations, and they give us some credit for it, but I'm not sure that we're succeeding. I don't think it's getting markedly worse. I think we're making progress. And some people challenge for, you know, you're only bringing in 200 tons at a time and the problem's so big. But when you realize if you bring in 200 tons, all the tuna and porpoises and sea turtles that you're saving by removing that. And we've been doing something that the intention from the beginning was to scale up, and I'm very excited to do the scaling up. And so if we encounter each other again and you ask me, I can say, yes, we're absolutely making it better, I can tell. But I know we are, but to what extent, I really can't.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Give a little warm applause for Mary. And we will be having Mr. SARAYA as well as Mary at the front of the stage and be talking about the work they're both doing. And I'll be giving an introduction about that in a moment. Okay. Lino, are you ready? Okay. Okay, welcome everybody. It's with great pleasure that I am here today to be a moderator for a discussion between Mr. YUSUKE SARAYA. Some of you know Mr. SARAYA. He brought us all together here today at Blue Ocean Dome. He helped create this thing. He was the main force behind this. And he's been long committed to finding innovative solutions to the challenges that are facing our oceans. And, you know, his journey began with a deep-seated passion for environmental sustainability and profound belief in the power of collaboration. His vision of the Blue Ocean Dome is not just about creating a physical space, but about fostering a global movement toward ocean health and sustainability. And today we're honored for YUSUKE to join us for an Oceanside chat with Mary Crowley, who, as you just heard, is the founder and executive director of Ocean Voyage Institute, and where they'll discuss their vital work being done in restoring our oceans and inspire action towards a more sustainable future. So please give a warm round of applause to Mary.
Thank you very much, Pete. すいません。I think there are many Japanese audience. I start with Japanese. May I? いや、今日はですね、マリー・クロムエルさんとヒラード・ウィットさん、ブルーハーモニーの理事長です。ピートさん、常務理事のおかげでこのセッションを持っていることができましてありがとう。I just thank Mary to give a nice presentation, as well as Hillard, president of Blue Harmony, and executive director of Blue Harmony, Pete, to kindly have this session and all the way from the United States to visit us and share the common kind of thoughts and visions together. I have okay. 日本の皆さんにもちょっと聞いてほしいんですけど、今地球のことね、我々言ってます。プラスチック海洋汚染とか、グローバルウォーミングとか、二酸化炭素とかですね。これで、実は地球から、我々人類はいろんなものを得て、富っていうかウェルスを作ってますよね。で、金儲けいっぱいしてる人多いんだけど、それでですね、でもってその人たちあんまり興味ないんだけど、この人たちをなんとかですね、こういう問題にコミットメントいただくようなことはできないか、私いつも思ってるんだけど、こういうドッキリ質問からちょっとメリーにしてみたいと思うんで、Mary, I told them, because plastic pollution is poisoning the ocean, maybe carbon dioxide poisoning the air, and there are humankind, and there are people who gain wealthiness from the earth, globe, minerals or food or everything originally come from the earth. But they are poisoning, especially those rich people who get money out of these resources, seems not very much interested in joining and get into the problem. Do you think, is there any other way, or how do you think that how they can get in to because there are so many wealthy people, especially in the United States, wealthiness and maybe poor people, there's a big divide. So do you have any opinion? Is it a little bit too much for you to answer?
Hello. Yes. Well, I wish I had great answers to your question, but I do think that as people get more educated and they believe in the solutions, that I think more funding will come. I see that already. Some of our funders are swimmers, some of them are kayakers, but lots of people putting in small amounts of money can make a difference. And we have some wealthier funders, and sometimes their friends decide what they're doing is interesting and join them. So I think it's more and more exposure, more teaching, more showing that we can restore our ocean, and educating people, which has been happening here all day. And by the way, again, great thanks for your vision in creating these wonderful domes, and great thanks to Blue Harmony in knowing you for so many years and partnering and involving all of us in this, because you're the ones I was thinking, when I'm so used to pointing out our kind of scientific collaborators, and I didn't mention the most important people being yourself and Zeri and Blue Harmony, who I think are going to move forward with Ocean Voyages Institute, with all of us doing important things together. And your vision of these domes and your creation of them are just such a positive and important action.
Positive always, and I appreciate your positive attitude. So let's persuade rich people to join us much more. Then I hope it will help you to create your new boats and so on. Next topics, maybe, as you said, we need education. We also appreciate people, although they don't have enough resources, but it's very nice. They join and they have problems and they can support the program with their own whatever they can do. But how is the education or how is the kind of let them know the problem that then we provide, like Pete, how they can participate in the program? Maybe donation or participating, but do you need more tools to educate them? How do you think that how we move on?
I'm open to all sorts of creative ideas, but I do feel that getting the right film footage with the right messaging, because so many people are surprised when they see our films or when they come and see one of our vessels being unloaded and realize that everything on board this ship came from the middle of the ocean. And they understand the degree of problem we have with toxic plastic. I mean, toxic plastic proliferating in our ocean is just a major source of harm to all of us.
Paul is here. He's making a very nice film for this Blue Harmony presentation in Dome Sea. I think a visual presentation is very important. Visual presentation is very important, and Paul has made a great video for us. I think we will need to utilize modern technologies to how to disseminate. There are things, fake and truth, but you are the truth because you just collect the garbage from the ocean. You are one of the very few person who do that. So we are very proud of you that you do that. But how do you think modern technologies to disseminate your activities?
Oh, I agree with you. I think film with the right messaging and information is very important. And I think social media can be very important because I know it's a dynamic way of reaching millions of people. And it's a global issue, and we really need to educate people globally.
I think we see lots of garbage gyre in the Pacific that you are collecting, of, but many of them, I hope, I understand they come from Asian countries like Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, China, Taiwan, Korea, maybe some from Japan. Go around to Pacific. It's like somebody in my garden who brings those garbages into my garden, but you are collecting the garbages in your garden. So I think it is important that we should let those people in Asia of your activities, and maybe some of them come from us or you there. Then there's a kind of needs to how to collaborate or cooperate from them to get together, hopefully make your new boat.
Yes, yes.
How do you think?
I agree. But it is true, we do get lots of things with Asian writing. But I believe in Asia, they get lots of things with English and Spanish writing on it. Well, not Spanish from Spain, but from Mexico and Central America. So, that a lot of people upset me in the U.S. when they try to say that it's a problem coming from Asia, because I believe deeply that it's a problem coming from all over the world. And
Probably they attack us, not work together.
so, I feel that people all over need to be educated and make changes. And what do you think Japan would like to have its own cleanup vessel? I think so.
I hope so. It is after this, you have to match up with the kind of spending of the Blue Ocean Dome. Maybe someday we can do that. I think American people has to realize that Philippines, after U.S.-Spain war, it was your territory. And also it was one time Palau was under control after World War II until they get independent. So I think in one other sense, U.S. is connected very much to the Pacific Ocean, right? So Hawaii is your territory now. So I think we may need to create attentions also.
Yes, yes.
So this is very important, to share the idea, but it is a little bit hard to get lots of enough funding. Some people are good in funding, but I think we have to continue these activities. Regarding the nets of fish that you collect mostly, but do you what say? You see, why it's fishermen, right? Probably.
Well, that's a very good question. And when I first started doing this work, I was really surprised about the number of nets we found. And then I learned more and more, and I think a lot of them come from illegal fishing operations, because if there's boats out there fishing illegally, they want to cut their nets, get rid of them, because they have big fines and can even lose their vessels by doing that. So they want to get rid of any proof. So I think it's that combined with probably sometimes smaller fishing boats when they encounter rough weather or a net gets tangled in corals or something, they don't have the manpower to safely deal with getting the net back, so they cut it for their own safety, because the nets are expensive, and no regular fisherman would ever cut their nets because they want to keep them and maintain them and use them. So it's either large illegal operations or small.
You see plastic bottles or plastic. I saw lots of sandals in Africa because sandal is floating onto the islands, for a long way. But do you find, other than nets, do you find like a bowl of fishing nets or bottles or plastic bottles of detergent, as you said? So do you notice other things very much, or they are already decomposed?
No, that's the bad thing about plastics, is they last for such long periods of time. And so, we see children's toys, we see armchairs, I've seen car fenders. You see quite a odd assortment of plastic things out in the middle of the ocean.
There's a toothbrush, in your picture.
Yes.
So there are also many common bottles or life, tools of plastic in the garbage.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
There's
gyre.
Yeah. There's everything you could imagine. Baskets and buckets and every size container.
Okay, good. So we have to improve our kind of consumption, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But now you've been doing good work here, cleaning.
We concentrate a program in Tsushima. Tsushima is also have lots of plastic floating onto. We see lots of styrofoam floaters. They decompose very quickly, probably not much in the gyre, but because they disassemble to smaller pieces, and we find lots of them. Then there are lots of microplastics on Japan Sea, and in winter there's a northwest wind floating them onto the Japan beach of Japan, so that you find lots of them on the beaches. The different logo of the language, Korean, Chinese, and so on. You know. So we see lots of them.
Do you see in Japan, are more and more people becoming aware of the issues?
Yes, there are people cleaning the beaches in many places, also with the kids to clean together. So they teach their father, don't throw your butts of cigarettes on the road. So children starting to teach their parents.
Yes, no, that's very true. I mean, in Galapagos, I brought a film down there that we showed in the schools, and all the children were telling their parents to pick the plastic out of the ocean.
So it's better, like Queen is learning today, that how your dads and mother is teaching you, and then she will teach him later, I believe. So I think this is very important. So we are talking to Paul how if we can develop good program to teach kids, right? In your virtual reality.
Mr. Saraya, can I ask you a question? I was curious, as you're talking about kids, and you've been involved with ocean conservation for a long time. Can I ask, was there an aha moment when you were like, oh my gosh, I need to take care of this, I need to get involved some way? Was there something that inspired you to get on this environmental movement that you're on right now?
Kids are very positive in moving. They are very curious, and they get interest. They learn like white paper absorbing, you know.
But what was your moment where you decided to make a change?
My moment, because I see lots of garbage in the Tsushima. Yeah, that was my moment.
And Mary, could you share, was there a moment where you decided to get involved?
You know, mine, I think, happened over time because I've done a lot of sailing and scuba diving and things around the world. And I just began going back places and seeing more plastic and realizing I learned about the gyres, and I realized that people had this feeling that they were in the middle of the ocean and therefore they weren't bothering anybody, you know, and this isn't really our problem. And I kind of felt, because I feel an affinity for oceans, that it was my problem, and that it was a problem that influenced, you know, the air we breathe and our own health, and that, you know, that I needed to start tackling it and finding solutions. So
when you go to the beach, you see lots of plastics, lots of garbages. You get probably angry, right? So that is another moment that you feel you have to do something.
Yes, yes.
Like the case of Mary went to the gyre and see, you know. It's a tough job, 46 days a voyage from the coast to collect the garbage. So we have to appreciate your hard work, right?
Yes, yes. Well,
Sorry. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, we do have some questions here.
Very nice having questions. I appreciate your participation.
So you were talking about how addressing the root causes of the pollution and how education could be a really important thing for that. Have you thought about new technology for the actual fishing industry itself, and instead of nets, maybe making new biodegradable materials to make the nets, or different technology that could be used in the industry?
I think this plastic problem has a big angle, like our consumption or the material, then collecting material for circular economy, and also don't get into the ocean, and we have to observe ocean about biodiversity and how do they have been affected. So there are many big angles. Then also it connects to the industries. So we need, for example, Mary was saying about drones or GPS tracking. Those are new technologies. Maybe there are technologies to find the gyre by the simulation. Yeah. So there are many ways that this one is included. There were several speakers before from Indonesia. They are making biodegradable plastics out of their cassava materials. Very, very promising. I thought, I mean, a challenge, but they have to persuade industries to change their bottles. Then the industry has first talked to the consumer that we change this bottle a little bit more expensive, but if you understand, would you buy it or not? So those all processes are connected to this plastic pollution.
yes, and I was going to say, originally, fishing gear was made out of hemp and rope and things that did
Ropes
degrade.
Those are probably made by nylons. Nylons is very hard to shred, but there are technologies that they chemical recycle to make new carpets or new part of the cars. Some car industries are recommending to utilize recycled materials for their cars, and some countries impose them to use, some percentage. And Mary was saying about the usage of the road construction, right? On the bottom of the road, we can utilize the collected marine debris, right?
Right, exactly. Yes, I mean, I think the exciting thing about working in the area of ocean plastics is, when I say everybody can be part of the solution, I really mean that, because people can do innovation in new materials to make things out of so that they do degrade, and people can do innovation in ways of recycling, upcycling, and ways of educating. I mean, because there's so many different types of people to reach, and people in different countries, different age groups, different ways for them to understand the importance of the ocean to all of us, and that all these toxic artificial substances don't belong in our ocean, and they harm all of us.
There was a kind of thoughts like from Sido's presentation about the blue economy. Blue economy is that we do economical products or things at the same time contributing to the sustainable developments, so that then maybe creating some jobs, sustainable product, so that we improve the situation through business or economy. So this is a concept of blue economy. For example, I was talking with Hillard, that his son Orion too, that make let's make a shampoo out of seaweed shampoo. Then when you wash your hair will grow, very naturally. So this is a kind of innovation that we use blue carbon for our product and let people understand to use it. So this is what we want to do.
Mary, this is just awesome presentation. Thank you so much and for the presentation and for your amazing work. It seems like this has economic value, right? We're looking at one chart, it said energy from the nets. It said construction material from the nets. It had a whole list of how you can turn this into a profit, if you will. Why aren't big companies going out in big ships collecting this and making all these products and turning a profit? Thank you.
Well, that's part of the problem of plastics. I mean, plastics are very cheap. Making things out of bamboo, which is much more environmentally sound, only cost a teeny bit more than making it out of plastic, but it does cost more. And so, we've been giving our plastics away to get it to be properly recycled and repurposed and dealt with. And, things change over time. Maybe at some point the plastics will develop some value, but truthfully, the main value with cleaning the plastics out of the ocean at this moment in time is to restore the ocean. And so we can keep our reefs alive, we can keep fish and sea creatures alive, because the ocean will die if we just, the figures about there being more plastic in the ocean than fish coming up by 2050, that's not going to be a healthy ocean. It's not going to be, right now our ocean isn't like it was 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. And it keeps getting, well, you probably know all this, Stephen, even better than I do. It just is very much, so unfortunately, I have a lot of people that have called me up over the years thinking that they have some idea that they're going to make millions of dollars out of cleaning the ocean. And I try to be polite, but it's just not going to happen. They may be able to make the world healthier for themselves and their children and their grandchildren and have an ocean that people can still enjoy swimming in. I mean, you've brought up several times wisely Indonesia, and
there are so many islands.
They
cannot process.
And Indonesia still has some areas with beautiful reefs and things, and you're swimming along in a tidal change, and you'll be hit by plastic debris. And same, you'll be in Costa Rica swimming on beaches and plastic debris. And so, the value is making our world and our ocean healthier. It's not really an economic value, but I consider that much more important than the economic value, is keeping our world a healthy place and our ocean healthy.
But see, this is my question to you, because this is your field. Because the richest person in the past in the United States is Mr. Rockefeller, who make money out of oil. Then the plastic business come to the world in 1950s, so on. Now 470 million tons per year, as you presented. People like Middle East people, they make lots of money because it's just stay underground. It takes some cost to dig it out and make a product out of that. Still, many people make a lot of money also by trading or ahead or a kind of, they make speculations too. So can we ask them to pay some money? This is my question you. Or clean up the ocean.
Clean up the ocean?
I like that question.
I think we have to.
I think it's fair. Yeah. I think that's a good option.
It's really very hard. I know. Your president is very strong to do so. He doesn't like this idea at all. But I think we have to think about for the globe. Somebody has to pay to clean it or not to make poisons out of that, out of their resources. So I think we have to think of the creative way. How? Because we have to unite and with the network or the global vision. I think this is the right way.
I agree. We have to unite, and that way the solutions will come quicker and everything will be much better.
A very scientific approach. Your data model is the strongest tool to see the future with scientific models, right?
Okay, I think that'll wrap up our little Oceanside chat. Give a round of applause to Mr. Saraya and Mary. And while you're all here, I wanted to take this opportunity to present an award to Mary. I wrote things down because just saying that she's a badass woman that is fierce and amazing would not go too far. So Mary, it's an honor and privilege to stand before you today to celebrate a remarkable individual whose dedication and passion have profoundly impacted our ocean and our planet. Mary, as you've heard, is the co-founder and executive director of Ocean Voyages Institute. It was established in 1979 with the mission to preserve the maritime environment and promote ocean conservation. Mary has spearheaded numerous initiatives aimed at combating ocean pollution, particularly focusing on the removal of plastic debris from our oceans. Mary's commitment to the ocean conservation extends beyond cleanup efforts. She has been instrumental in developing innovative technologies, which you heard her talk about, that help track ghost nets. And these ghost nets pose a significant threat to our marine life. Additionally, she has advocated for sustainable practices and policies to prevent further pollution and protect marine ecosystem. Her work has not gone unnoticed. Mary's been recognized many times as a champion for the oceans, earning accolades for her tireless efforts to address one of the most pressing environmental challenges of our lifetime. Today, as we present Mary with the Blue Harmony Waves of Change Lifetime Achievement Award, we acknowledge not only her significant contributions to ocean conservation, but also her unwavering commitment to making a positive impact on the world. Mary, your dedication, leadership, and passion inspire us all. You have shown us that one individual can indeed make a difference, and your work continues to inspire future generations to take action and protection for our oceans. On behalf of Blue Harmony, as well as Ziri and YUSUKE Saraya, I am honored to present you with this award as a token of our deep appreciation for your exceptional contributions to ocean conservation. Hillard?
Together with me, huh?
Yeah. So Hillard is one of the co-founders of Blue Harmony, and he's a dear friend for Mr. Saraya. And he and I created this award. I was going to give this to you, but I'm afraid you might drop it. Here you go. Hi, it's heavy, I know. I kept the box so she can travel around with it as well. Nicole or Michael, you might need to actually have you carry this instead of Mary. Yeah. So thank you everyone so much. A little round of applause for Mary and Waves of Change Achievement Award. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes, thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you so much for this award, which is a big surprise and a big honor. So thank you so much. That is beautiful. And it reminds me of the drops of water in your circulation and my favorite ocean colors, and much appreciated. And it's an honor to be receiving this in this beautiful structure.
In the center, a picture together with you, with the four of us.
Shall we be on the stage?
Could you please stay? Okay, thanks.